Joining me now, Democratic Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey and Republican Senator John Thune of South Dakota. Welcome both.
Good to be with you.
Morning, David.
Senator Thune, let me ask you this. There were the votes in the House to sue President Obama, and yet neither the House or Senate could pass even a bill on immigration that would deal with the border crisis at the moment. Does this undermine the ability for Republicans to say, vote for us in the fall, we should control the Senate and the House and really be a governing party?
Well, David, the House did pass a border security bill before they went out. The Senate has not. And you mentioned earlier people's frustration. I can understand that. You know, wages are flat, unemployment's high, everything from gas to food to health care costs more for the American people. But you can't address that situation if you don't vote. In the United States Senate, we went for an entire year where we cast less than one vote on a Republican amendment per month. And in the Harry Reid Senate, that's become the norm. It's become a factory for show votes where votes are made that are more interested in winning votes for Democrats in November elections than they are for winning jobs for the American people. And that's got to change. The Senate's got to function again. It is dysfunctional, and that's what's frustrating to the American people.
Thanks for the correction. The House did in fact pass something that it doesn't look like the president will support it, and it doesn't look like it'll get through the Senate. To that point, though, Senator Menendez, if the president on immigration wants to use executive power to deal with this problem, is that in excess of his authority? Congress has spoken, dysfunctionally or not, and said we're not going to deal with any aspect of immigration. Why shouldn't the president then stand pat until he can find some way to get everybody involved and on board?
Well, David, I wouldn't say that Congress has spoken. The Senate spoke last year with an overwhelmingly bipartisan, we talk about gridlock, 68 votes, Republicans and Democrats, the Gang of Eight of which I was part of, put together a broad, bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform to fix our immigration system. Now, that stalled in the House of Representatives, and they haven't even permitted one vote on it, an up or down vote or a vote on their version of immigration reform. In light of that, then it seems to me that the president, which my Republican friends often call upon to act, in this case is, I hope, will act, because the system as it exists today is broken. And to the extent that I believe, and submitted to the White House and to the Department of Homeland Security, a legal memorandum that outlines the powers that they do have, I hope they'll use those powers to try to get some elements of the system under order.
Senator, I want to stick with you on another big issue we've talked about this morning, Senator Menendez, about what's happening in Israel and in Gaza. There appears to be a redeployment, as you heard Ambassador Dermer say just a few moments ago. How would you define victory here for the Israelis?
Well, for the Israelis, obviously, they need peace and security, and they will define it for themselves in terms of what is their national security. Look, the loss of any life is lamentable. The loss of Palestinian lives is lamentable. But when you have a terrorist organization that hides behind women and children and puts their weapons stockpiles in mosques and schools and fires from civilian targets, it is an untenable situation for the Israelis. When you have tunnels that pop up in your home country, and which people come out shooting and wearing suicide bombs, it speaks volumes of the adversary Israel has. And so that's why you see broad bipartisan support in the Senate in supporting the state of Israel.
But even friends, Senator Thune, have to worry about the international opinion against Israel, actions taken by Israel that have contributed to so many civilian deaths in Gaza that perhaps undermine Israel's long-term security. As a friend of Israel, do you fear for Israel?
Well, that's one of the things, David, as Bob mentioned, that there is bipartisan support for on Congress. We were able to get the House and the Senate moved legislation to provide funding for Iron Dome. I think everybody realizes Israel's got to be able to protect its citizens, and I think this operation, hopefully, will conclude quickly once they destroy the tunnels and the rockets launchers that are coming into Israeli communities. This thing will get, I think, over with, and hopefully we can get to a place where we're actually discussing a solution, a long-term solution to the situation there in that region of the world. But we've got to defend and support Israel's right to defend its own citizens from this constant hammering of rocket attacks and these tunnels that are being bored into their country. You can't. No country is going to be able to sustain that, and we've got to be able to support Israel until they get this job done.
Senator Thune, Final question for you, and this is about immigration. On this program, numerous times, Senator Lindsey Graham has said that it will be a political death sentence for the Republican Party. I'm paraphrasing him, but that's his sentiment. If they don't coalesce around broad-based immigration reform. Do you agree with that?
Well, I would say, David, we do. We've got to deal with this immediate crisis right now. And what the House bill did is it addresses the flow, stopping the flow. I think most Americans realize it's a reasonable position that we can't sustain what's happening at the border right now. We've got an immediate crisis that has to be dealt with. Yes, we have to deal with the issue of immigration. I think it's important for Republicans and Democrats to come together behind a plan. And as Marco Rubio has said, you can't fix legal immigration until you fix illegal immigration. And that means border security. That means building the strategic fence and having an E-Verify program and an entry-exit program that ensures that our borders in this country are secure. We're not going to have the trust and the confidence of the American people that we can address this problem on the legal immigration side if we don't fix illegal immigration.
All right, we're going to leave.